Greetings, viewers. This is A Vision Entertainment, and I am your host, Tommy. We have a special guest. We have the Tony Award-winning legend, three-time Grammy nominee who conquered Broadway and memorable roles in Hair, 1967, and received a star on Hollywood's Walk of Fame, and cannot forget the Plaza Street renaming ceremony in her hometown, Newark, New Jersey. Viewers, we have the iconic Miss Melba Moore. How are you?
Thank you for having me back. I'm fantastic. Well, first of all, I want people to make sure that if they can, where are you broadcasting from?
I'm in Philadelphia right now.
Okay, well, you all are kind of, I know you're the city of brotherly love.
Yeah.
You're also kind of like a neighbor to us in New York here.
That's right. We are close, with neighbors. And I have all of those questions here. I only have a few. I didn't want to keep you long, but everything you're saying, I have it all here. Things you're doing now about the performing. You will be performing at 54 Below in New York City on July 9th and 10th, with your one-woman show, Melba
Right. I
Moore.
want people to get tickets for that. And tell your friends and tell your enemies too to come to 54 Below on July 9th and 10th, 7 p.m. at 254 West 54th Street. That's really important because it's a little kind of mini Broadway show. It's going to focus on life and career in theater. And I've titled it From Broadway with Love, so that most of my African American fans and friends are very, very familiar with my recording career. Yes. And I want that. Fantastic. I have a brand new smash summer banger called No Filter. So
No Filter. That's right. That's right.
Okay. I want you to go and make sure you not only Google that and download it and everything, but support it because it's getting ready to be a really, really important focal point of my career now. And because it promises to be so successful, it's going to launch things all over again. So I don't want to miss the opportunity to bring your attention to that. But the important thing about that is I get to pass the mantle on from my generation to my daughter. It's on her label. She brought the project to me and all the songwriters and producers, but also the industry has changed so much. We used to have about 5 or 6 major record labels. And if you were not on those labels, you did not have a recording career. That's right. Now, over the last, say, 15 or 20 years, the industry has changed and evolved so much. That's right. First of all, there are black heads of corporations.
That's right.
So you have a financial and a corporate base that you didn't have before. And there have been so many people that the record companies, regardless of what your age was, kind of put you out of pasture because if you weren't with them, you didn't have a career, you didn't have recording. But there are so many independents until the independent releases may outnumber the classic record company. So the industry has changed so much. It's an industry of independence now.
That's right, an independence.
So especially artists like myself who are either black or who are now senior, it is a major opportunity and privilege and power to be able to pass the baton on. That's extremely important.
That's right.
I don't want so much about me because we've always talked about me. And thank God I got my star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So I'm there permanently. And I don't want to ever stop thanking Cat Williams.
And
the other people who made Terry Lewis. Jimmy Jack, Terry Lewis. Because these things don't happen without the industry changing and without people supporting you. Because, I could have had the most talent. I could be the most intelligent, most articulate. But if these people didn't come to support us, we don't have a base. And we may have the baton, but we can't pass it on.
You can't pass it on. That's right. And you mentioned the star. Yeah. Can we just go back to the Hollywood star? I just wanted to know at that presentation, how did that make you feel at that moment? That just happened for you. Like, how did it make you feel?
I had to stop and think because I wasn't focused on it. I didn't think about myself getting it. Of course, you knew about it because it's been there for decades. And now you see so many more Black performers receiving their due. So many more that, like back in the day, would not have because we live in, evolving out of it. But I hope. But so racist and so
That's right.
Those accolades were not available to us. So it's extremely important. And even at this point, I had to really stop and think about it because I'm not used to getting, well, I'm starting to now.
That's
But
right.
oh my God, I got to write a speech because
Yeah.
you want to cover the important things
Mhm.
that are that you know about now because you've
That's
been
right.
so busy focused on staying alive and surviving.
That's right.
Because now you got to come out of survival mode. You did that, you've survived.
That's
Now
right.
it's time to thrive, stay here in this place that God has given you.
That's
So
right.
everybody can see you where you are now. So you can
Mhm.
have a chance to pass the baton on.
Right to the next person.
Very important point in history that we have now. So first of all, I didn't think about it enough to know that after you get all of the things required that allow you to be suggested for the star, you
Yeah.
still have to pay $75,000. I think people should know that. I didn't.
Wow.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know, but you also I didn't know it was that much. I didn't know that. And you mentioned Cat Williams. He was a big support there for you. Is it
No,
possible?
Cat Williams paid for it.
Yeah, yeah. And how was the phone call with Cat Williams paying? I mean, talking to you about that. How was that phone
Well,
call
I
when
didn't talk to him much. See, that's why you got to really understand and focus on to your partners and the other people who are
the
in
other
your
people?
family, your business, or because they help make these things happen. Now, my partner Ron could probably sing very well. I don't know, but he don't sing.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not the manager. So you need
Yeah,
these two different elements that
that's right.
come together to make a team to make this thing happen. He had the conversations with Cat Williams.
Okay, okay.
That's very, very important. I want to really focus on and expose the team.
Wow. $75,000.
And I
Wow.
had not met Cat Mark. He's brilliant. He had not met me, and because he's much younger and he's in television, I'm not like I was before.
Yeah.
He wasn't really familiar with me, so he had to
Hmm.
research me and find out who I was.
That's right.
And then I'm telling this because you hear so many different things about, especially the industry, but you need to
Mhm.
hear about the people who are genuinely caring,
That's
genuinely concerned. Uh,
right.
um, I'm finding out now that Cat does this for people all the time. I'm not talking about the Hollywood Walk of Fame,
But
but he
just help.
sees what need,
That's right.
whatever the person is. I found out that about him by
That's right.
receiving this award.
Wow. That's
And
wonderful.
paying attention because now that I have it, the spotlight is on me in this place that I've been raised to represent properly. I
Hmm.
said, well, first of all, I got to write a speech. I know how to write and everything, but I'm not used to writing speeches. And
Yeah, yeah.
I'm really concerned and intimidated because I don't want to disrespect anybody.
Wow. Okay.
Because all these different people made this happen, not for you, but with you. So you're part of a
Right.
team. You have to get to know who they are now.
That's right. That's right.
Would you like to say something?
Yeah. And I just wanted to know this also because you will be performing at 54 Below in New York City on July 9th and 10th with
Yes.
your one-woman show, Melba Moore from Broadway with Love. And the power of your presence on Broadway, it got you noticed, and you became a virtual sensation. What was the inspiration behind stepping into Broadway?
One of the recording sessions was for a gentleman by the name of Galt McDermott. He was a keyboardist, and he
Hmm.
was making an album of all the music from this Broadway musical called Hair, which I didn't know anything about that. I had no background in theater.
1967.
Well, that's when the play happened. So this was like a little bit before that.
Oh, okay.
So when the recording session finished, he and his two colleagues, Jerry Ragney and Jim Rado, that were helping him to do the album of all the music from the musical Hair. I mean, I saw it would look kind of really crazy to me because we read music and everything. We don't just make things up. And I read this sheet music that said, glitty, glup, gloopy, nibby, nabby, noopy. I said, what kind of mess is this? I mean, because I didn't know, and I didn't have any background in theater, and I had absolutely no connection with hippies, and I was really, really kind of estranged, and I said, well, how come this young man, he don't have no shoes on. I mean, it was summertime and everything, but I said, but it ain't that hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But God was making his own album with all the music from the show Hair.
Okay.
And the recording session took about 2 weeks to do. So we spent quite a lot of time doing the session. And after that, I was told that he was the music director, the keyboardist,
Yeah.
and the composer for all the songs in the shows. And he was being accompanied by Jim Rado and Jerry Ragnow, who wrote the book, that wrote the script, and they wrote all the lyrics for the show. And there was, so to make a long story a little bit shorter, they were still casting for the show. And at the end of the show, this one walks up to me and asks me, I mean, at the end of the session, I like to tell this story. He says, how would you like to do Hair? I said, excuse me? I do not have a Bachelor of Arts degree in music to do nobody's hair.
That's right.
And this one walked up to me. He had this bright, bushy, red, curly kind of afro. He looked like his fingers were still stuck in a live plug. He didn't look normal to me. So why is he asking me to do hair? But of course, he explained to me it was going to be a new Broadway show.
Broadway, that's right. And
they were still casting for it. Well, I wanted to tell you a little bit of that story because nothing seems to have ever happened to me just in a normal way. And it always good stories too. But he told us that they were still casting for the show. And from doing the recording session, they could tell that we were very strong singers. And they were still looking for strong singers. And they were looking for some Black artists to do some of these parodies, because that's really what Hair was. It was a bunch of vignettes and parodies with comments being made anti-government, anti-racial, that's what the whole show was about. And so they were still casting for it. To make a long story a little bit shorter, I said, oh, it's going to be a Broadway musical? I said, but I don't have any background in theater. He said, oh, well, our director, his name is Tom Horgan, and his specialty is experimental theater.
Wow,
so don't worry about it. You have an interesting personality. We'll teach you how to do what we need you to do in the parts that we put you in.
Yeah.
One of the parts that I had was this big parody that they did, a real mimic of the Supremes. We had this huge, blonde, flip wigs, and this sequin dress that came out in this big, high, what do you call it? They call it a winch, but it's a thing, a platform that
it's a platform. Out. Yeah.
Oh, so that it's above the audience. We all came out, but all of a sudden we all bust out, and it was all in one dress.
Wow.
It looked like 3 people, but it was 3 people. But when we broke it out, it was all in one red sequin dress. So the show was like that. It was a whole bunch of like parodies or jokes made about things in our life. And that was my first theatrical experience, which was experimental theater.
Yeah, and I know you said this was your first experience. Were there any times where you actually got nervous or forgot to learn that time? Yeah.
In Hair? No, because first of all, I wasn't really out there on my own. It was a series of vignettes and stuff. I mean, I was a little bit nervous when I got the female lead because that was a little bit different. You had to play actually one character. You couldn't like really make it up.
Okay.
My character was Sheila, but and that was very intimidating because the people that had played that role before were all blonde-haired, white, beautiful, talented girls, but they were white. And I remember the first girl who played it was Lynn Kellogg. She's from the Kellogg family, so they came from royal families. The second person I remember played it was Heather McRae. She was the daughter of Sheila and Gordon McRae. So by the time I got to play the part, the last person that played the part was Diane Keaton.
Okay.
Because I wasn't intimidated to follow her then, but now I realize what happened. She became Diane Keaton. She wasn't that then.
She wasn't back then, but she became Diane.
So I mean, it was exciting and everything, and I got the front page of the entertainment section of the New York Times. It was, but I wasn't like scared like I was going to forget a line or something.
Yeah.
I do that now.
Yeah. But not then, but now.
Because you were part of an ensemble, you rehearsed very well. It was just a whole different situation. Now you're on the stage, you've accomplished all these things. You have something to live up to.
That's right.
If I forget my lines now, first of all, I made them up, so I'm not supposed to forget them.
Yeah, you're not supposed to forget. You made them up. So
it's actually It's a lot more intimidating now, actually.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay. We have to go through just one thing. Winning the Tony Award for Pearly. Did I say that correctly? Pearly?
Hurley, yes.
Pearly. Okay, was a significant achievement. What was that experience like for you, and Pearly?
Well, now that was scary.
Okay.
Everything would seem so strange about it because I wasn't familiar with the Tony Awards. I'm just learning to act in Hair, and now I'm in Pearly, where I actually have to play a character. The character was from the deep woods of the South. She was orphaned, illiterate, and a domestic. But the reason I could play that character is because my mother was a singer. She was a single parent. She was gone all the time. She loved me, but she didn't raise me. But the person who raised me was an orphan, illiterate,
Oh,
domestic.
wow. Wow.
From the South, I don't even know how she got to the North. She was like a little throwback to a lot of our families, familiar characters, members of our family that are like that are really kind of almost a throwback from slavery because they fell through the cracks. They did not get an education.
Yeah.
I was born of a single parent, but she didn't give me away. I didn't get basically orphaned, but I was raised by somebody like that. So when I was one of the actors in Hair told me about auditions for it because they reminded me that after I played the role of Sheila, I had been in the show. We have many of us for a year and a half, and we said, "Junior, we got to start finding what we're going to do next." And they told me about auditions for Pearly because I was going around to all the open mics and stuff because I thought I was in music. That's all I knew, and I thought I want to be a record deal somewhere. So I was every open mic you could find. But they said, "No, girl, you're on Broadway. You got your equity union card. You got to find something in theater." I said, "But I don't know anybody in theater."
That's right.
So anyway, they told me where to go to for the auditions for Pearly. And so I was really trying to learn how to audition.
Wow.
But I got the part.
You got it. And that was wonderful because now, like I said, you have another show coming up July 9th and the 10th,
Yeah.
And how I just want to ask this, how prepared are you for this? Like,
I think I'm very prepared because the opportunity, this is the third or fourth time I've been invited back. And each time I've been invited back, my schedule is so full. I don't have time. I would have liked to have a real script writer come and write it and co-write it with me.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the time, so I didn't want to say no to the opportunity. So I've written it myself. So I don't think I'm going to forget the lines.
Okay, so
but I hope it's going to be something that everybody enjoys because I'm not a script writer.
Okay.
But it's kind of like a mini play with music. I will put it that way because it's really focused on the theater part of my life and career. So I'm talking about that, but I really do kind of fall into character. Like for instance, I was the first Black actress to play the role of Fantine in Les Miserables. So when I go do the song, I become Fantine.
Okay.
And same thing happens with Pearly. And I do a little bit of constant costume changes right in front of your eyes because I don't have a dressing room or nothing.
Okay.
But I'm doing a one-person play, but I'm doing it in front of your eyes so that it can be theater and not records.
That's right.
Although you have to accomplish the same, level of excellence that you would want to if it was just singing and just music.
That's right. The accolades just keep coming. You have so much going on, and also new music, which is called No Filter.
Yes.
That is one. What keeps you inspired and motivated?
Let me ask you something. Have you heard No Filter?
I went on and I heard snippets of it.
Okay, what did you think about what you heard?
It's great. I love it, and it seems
what's the mood of it?
The mood of it to me is like is an up tempo. It's more like you could dance a little bit to it. That's what I got from it.
You got the right thing from it, baby.
You could dance a little bit.
What it promises to be is a big summer kind of banger dance hit.
It is. That's what I got from it. Exactly. Yep. But
I think that's amazing.
But it's amazing.
I mean, at my stage in life and career.
That's right. It's amazing. At your stage and in your life and career, that song No Filter is amazing. Because now, thinking about the music today, when you hear these songs out here today, how exactly do you stay inspired to write music, which was good? No Filter is good. How did you do that? After this music you hear today, what inspired you to make No Filter?
Fortunately, I have wonderfully talented people like George Pettis, who wrote the music. It's the keyboardist on it. You hear it. Terry Hunter is playing drums on it. He's also producer and promoter of it. It's on their label. Also, Angela Pettis, who wrote the lyrics. So she spent time with me, and I reminded her that one of those lyrics in there is, see me as I am, take me as I am, love me as I am, because I am who I am. I said, I am who I am.
That's
Do
right.
you know who I am is? Do you know?
That's right. Who
No,
I am.
I'm asking you.
Yeah. I know. For me, I know who I am.
No, I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you that.
You said for you. Okay.
No. I am is one of the names of God.
That's right. I am He. That's right.
I am. When
That's
Moses
right.
went up before Pharaoh, he said, who shall I say sent me? He said, tell him I am sent you.
Yeah, that's right.
And Angela remembered that, and she made it like very prominent in the record. I'm saying that because I believe that's why it's so successful.
It is successful. That was a nice record. So are you going to keep it the same way? I know you're coming out with a whole album, right?
Well, the album that's out now is called Imagine.
Imagine, yes. Okay.
Now, George and Angela and Terry may want to do a whole album. If they want to do that, I will. But I already have one album called Imagine.
Yes, Imagine. Wow. Making music today, like No Filter, were you a little skeptical of thinking about the music out here now? And did you think that it would reach a wide audience?
Well, I wasn't skeptical about the music because I had George Pettis and Angela Pettis and Terry Hunter.
On the side.
And I know that they know music. They're not just great musicians, but they're deeply embedded in the power structures that exist now.
That's right.
So they don't only just make music. They're going to make sure that it gets played, that it's promoted. It's on their labels. They're the gatekeepers now. So I'm in their hands now. So, and their independence, and now the industry is independence. It's not just the major classic labels that used to exist, which are still here, most of them anyway.
That's right.
But we have a platform now too. So no, I didn't have to be skeptical. When I heard the music, I was like, oh my God, that's me.
Right then and there, you knew it was you.
When before we recorded it, I trusted them, and I didn't know what was going to be the outcome. But when I heard the final mix, I said, "Oh my gosh, that's really good." And that's not to say that any of the music that's out here now is good or bad. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But because I have such a great smash, I don't have to care what they're doing.
That's right. There you go. There you go.
I got something great too. I just want to be in the mix.
That's right.
So, I mean, I'm glad you asked me my opinion of it.
Yeah.
Do you still want to know my opinion?
I want to know your opinion. And you know what? Also, I'd like to know, are you ready? Because once this song is really getting out there, are you ready for touring?
Yeah, I have to get more ready though, because I've got to put dancers together. I've got
That's
to
what I'm saying.
Yeah. And we did some videos, and everybody's making videos, so that takes a lot of the pressure off me. But I actually have to put a band and a production company together to do it. So I'm not quite ready yet. I've got to get ready.
Okay. Not quite, but you're getting ready.
I'm getting ready. Yeah. In the meantime, I'm staying focused on God. He's first. I'm keeping my voice in great shape. I sing every day real hard. I go to the gym every day. I move with I can't say I dance, but I move, and hopefully I'll get a few moves together, so that I'll be able to present the song, the performance properly. But I will have dancers. I'm not going to expect to be dancers, but I want to be in shape and ready with the proper energy for the performance.
That's right. Go out and do a little exercise, not too much, just something where you can get your bones work, but you're going to do a great job. You are, because you're well seasoned in dominance. Like, this is not nothing new to you.
You have to get ready. And now, in the beginning, you didn't know. And so, thank God I was in good hands then, but now you're supposed to know.
That's right.
Okay. So you have something to risk now.
That's right.
Because you kind of try to set a bar, and you have to live up to at least that.
That's right.
So it can be a little bit intimidating. I'm not going to, take anything for granted. I'm going to work really hard and make sure I feel properly rehearsed and ready.
And you will. You will. And after all of your many accolades, the street naming, the Hollywood Star Walk of Fame, you have the Grammy, you have the Tony Award. Is there anything else that you would like to do but never had a chance to?
Well, I want to get an Oscar.
Whoa, that's next.
Do
The
something
Oscar's next.
Well, I know you have to go through the process, and Lee Daniels keeps teasing me that he's going to use me in something that he does, and he usually does really, really, really mind-blowing projects for film.
Oh, wow.
So I'm certain that even though I haven't spent a lot of time in film, especially lately, that he will groom me in whatever part that he decides that I'm good to play in one of his movies. He'll rehearse me properly. He'll direct me properly so that I wouldn't be surprised if I get a chance to work with somebody like Lee Daniels or him, that my first character in a movie might be worthy of an Oscar nomination. I would love that. And
it will be. I know for sure that it will be. Your phone froze. It froze once.
It doesn't. I have much to be thankful for and to be happy for. So it's not something that I'm pining for, but that would be nice.
Wow, it will be. You have one more. I don't think a lot of people know. I mean, I'm quite sure they looked it up. Your edition of Lift Every Voice and Sing. It was actually added to the U.S. National Recording Registry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you hear me? You kind of froze a little bit. You still okay? Yeah.
Yeah, and you're dropping out.
That's what.
Can you hear now?
Now I can hear you. Okay. Your edition of Lift Every Voice and Sing was added to the U.S. National Recording Registry. And what does that achievement mean to you personally and culturally? You froze.
For Lift Every Voice and Sing?
Yes. Like it was in the registry. It made it to the U.S. National Recording Registry.
Oh.
Yeah. What does that mean?
It's really important because so much of what African Americans have done have remained unofficial and unrespected, unrecognized. Right. It's on record. It's on video. It's in the congressional record. So we are official. We always were authentic, but we're becoming official too. Whatever the laws or the beliefs are of this country, we're on record. That's extremely important. But we're in that realm of how the future remembers us and tells our story when we're not here to tell it ourselves.
That's right. That's right. And I think that was huge with Lift Every Voice and Sing, and how it was recorded and the National Recording Registry. That was wonderful. That was something that's groundbreaking.
Yes,
it is. And let's talk about hit songs like "This Is It," "Lean on Me," "You Stepped Into My Life," "Read My Lips," which later won a 3rd Grammy nomination for Best Rock Vocal Performance. Right.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration behind that song? This is it.
Well, the first one, "This Is It."
Yeah, this is it.
My then husband and I were newly married. We had a daughter, and we were starting our family, and also our personal management, artist management company, which was Hush Productions. And he got me a recording contract. I think that one was with Buddha, because he got me so many, with Capitol Records, CBS Records.
CBS.
And he and his crew and the record company went out and got for me the gentleman who, my eyes is getting big, I know.
Don't worry.
The gentleman who pretty much single-handedly ushered in one of the most important major dance eras that America has experienced. After the jitterbug and all those things that our people brought into existence. The disco era, that was like the first record dance official era. Van McCoy, he wrote the Disco Hustle, and he performed the Disco Hustle, and I think he made it a hit, a smash in Europe before it came to America, which then became a real big pattern, especially for things that would go to London first and then come back here. It still is a pathway for us to continue to have success. I appreciate it so well. But he went and got Van McCoy, and Van McCoy wrote, "This Is It for Me." So my inspiration for "This Is It" was "That Was It," because Van wrote me a smash hit. And then when I got Van, I reminded him
Right.
that he wrote "Lean on Me."
Lean on Me, the first one, right? Like the very, because it's two Lean on Me, right?
Oh, there's one by Bill Withers, not that
Bill
one.
Withers, not that, but if
Which is, of course,
original,
great.
yeah, the original was the first one you're talking about.
I think this one happened before Bill Withers. It did.
Yeah, it's the original.
And before I heard it, I think Vivian Reed recorded it first.
Okay.
Great singer. But I heard it by Miss Aretha Franklin.
Wow.
So that's what I said. I heard it, and she was basically kind of throwing it away because we had 45s or singles.
Yeah, I remember 45.
And so what they were pushing was Rose in Harlem, which was the A side.
Wow.
And so whatever was on the B side was really being thrown away.
Wow.
I like to say when I found that one, I was taking some crumbs from the Queen's table. Okay.
Wow.
I was taking those crumbs, and I would just sing that song and sing it and sing it and sing it and sing it way before I met Van.
Mm-hmm.
Till I had actually developed an arrangement for it that accommodated what was my blasphemy singing style. I didn't have a singing style yet. I had lots of ranges and different kinds of things I could do, but it hadn't been kind of focused into a singing style yet. I guess because I didn't have really a song yet. You're singing everybody else's song, And I think the first thing that happened that kind of allowed that to be harnessed was Pearly, because I would sing these long, high notes, and it would stop the show. So then they wrote "I Got Love" especially for me.
Okay.
So that's when I started to discover, this is how you sing. Mm-hmm. And so I developed a way of singing "Lean on Me." So when I found Van, I said, "Van, you wrote this song. You got to give me this one, but it has to be done this way."
That's right. So you switched it around. Lean on me. You switched it up. That's right.
Well, he made it so that I could hit the long notes but it accommodates the message. That's when I started to realize too, the message has to be something that is serious, is authentic.
That's right.
Is meaningful. And it's basically like, it's the same subject as Bill Withers. Mm-hmm. You need a friend. You come and you lean on me. It's not, I want to make love to you. I want to go to bed with you or whatever. It's not that kind of love.
It's not that.
It's what we call agape love.
That's right. There you go. That's God's love. Yeah. Agape love. That's right.
So I don't want to make a short story long, but but
it's fun.
Songs are very, very pivotal and important for me, kind of starting to find my personality as a recording artist. Mm-hmm. And Van McCoy really helped me with that. Of course, Miss Aretha Franklin and all the incredible singers and performers that were in my mom's time that I listened to because she was a singer, all of that. But I'm so excited because I had a chance to become a recording artist. I asked my stepfather, could I please, try to become an artist and not just stick to teaching school. That was his dream for me, but it was not my dream for me. And so we're talking about recordings and producers like Van McCoy and some of the others I've had that gave me a chance to try to see what my dream is. And I'm telling you this because I want people who have a dream who are watching this to go after their dream.
That's right. There you go. That's right. And they're going to take heed to everything and take notes. Take notes of everything Ms. Moore is saying. And I know you started years back. I just wanted to know, and I know it was a lot of racism back in the day. I know there was, especially with the labels. What experiences you witnessed going through this industry at that time? As a black woman going through the music industry.
Well, the R&B department was for black people, and the pop department was for white people. But of course, all of us crossed over.
It's amazing, right? Everybody crossed over.
We always know. We know from coming from slavery, we have to break the color line. We have to do that, and it's going to be wherever we go. Right. And I don't mean just in America. It seems like anywhere we've ever gone in the planet, somebody wanted to be people who were of color at the bottom of their totem pole. I don't care if it was India, if it was France, wherever you went. I think that's because Adam was not white.
He was black. Of course, he was black. You're right.
How could he be white and be born in Africa?
and Jesus was black. You know,
Yes.
that's just what it is. You know,
Yes.
because Adam carved from the ground, his skin was brown. You know, you carve from the dirt. You're not going to. Well, that's another story. But you know,
But it's part of who we have
it's
to
part of who.
continue to be,
That's right. That's
because
right.
we have something that is a part
Right.
of the DNA of God. We're made in His
Right.
likeness. We don't just have our DNA that He gave us. Then,
That's
of course,
right.
He became one of us. So He's like us in every way except sin. So
That's
we
right.
have something that the devil really does not want to see exist. They want to, I'm not people necessarily, but the spirit of that wants that destroyed. So you always have that issue because we have something to be jealous of.
And some people
That's our
know.
spirit.
Some people know for sure the truth and why they hate us so much because of certain things. Our color of our skin, and it go deep. So you know, I can go deep with that. So,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I can go deep with it. And that was it. You know, going through the music industry was kind of tough at that
Well,
moment.
but the way that it was solved once, I should give credit to my then husband, Charles Huggins. Um, what started out his kind of young adult life as a musician, as an organ player,
Okay.
and he had his own band, so he had a love for music was in his DNA too. But
Okay.
he didn't finish school. I think he dropped out because he's a genius too, at the fourth grade. So he has no formal education. Everything he learned from being out and doing things. But he got it gifted him with entrepreneurism. And what he did was he formed a company called Hush Productions.
Okay.
And a lot of the people that he brought into his organization were from record companies.
Wow.
And
Okay.
they were musicians. I remember one gentleman was Jim Tyrell, became a I forget which record company he worked for, but I worked with him as a studio musician.
Okay.
So we had people who were musicians who had that in their DNA and that empathy, but also the streetwise young black boy who comes from somewhere, wherever, and there's no place for him, but God gave him a gift, so he's gonna make it
That's
anyway.
right.
He's
That's
gonna
right.
cross over.
But he made it.
So what Charles did, he really create like in-house promotion, PR, because in those days when we put records out, I mean Frankie Crocker was on the air, busting through and everything, but we didn't have black journalists. We had Johnson Publication. That was all. We
Yeah. No black journalists.
we didn't have that. We didn't have black people on radio who were anything but disc jockeys, and that was a new beginning when Hal Jackson created BLS.
Hmm.
Before that, I think we had one AM station in the New York area, and they had their rap, I'll call it that,
Hmm.
and disc jock jargon, but they did not interview. They did not talk. There was no journalism.
Wow.
There was none of that. So we basically really started that. When they would invite me to come on to sing, not excuse me, to play my records, then I would talk.
Wow.
I'm not saying I started that, but I'm saying there was no avenue to promote your product, and so the record companies could have total control because they had all the media covered, and no, there was nothing provided for us. So as usual, we had to provide our own, and we became like one of the major personal artist management company in the New York area, very similar to Detroit and Motown
Sure.
and Philly International and Philly,
Right.
who all did the same thing because there was no way for us. You know,
Wow.
went around the barriers and created crossover. You know, I mean, Perry Gordy created Michael Jackson. He didn't cross over. He just busted everything.
That's right.
Go
That's right.
ahead.
That was powerful. That was powerful
I
there.
think that's a good example I could give of how,
Wow.
what did you do? So he brought his own staff, and what they would do is they work in concert with the record companies. In the beginning, the record companies did not know that. They just
Mhm.
didn't know why we were having so much success.
Yeah.
And eventually, Charles brought people like Kashif to the record companies. He brought people like Freddie Jackson to the company. Let's say Melissa Jackson, and tons of other uh, New York area artists, recording artists and groups. So we
Right.
became, you know, a major power. in the record industry because we basically were partnering and mirroring with them before they knew it.
That's right. That's right. And see, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that a lot of people just don't really know about until they ask questions. You don't know. And as far as like the record labels back then, and now I'm going to talk about masters. A lot of people don't have those. Are you secure in your masters? Do you own all of the masters for your music?
I do not yet.
Okay.
We're talking to some attorneys now to make that happen. No. That was another way of just stealing from us.
Wow.
Stealing your very identity, and the inequities in the industry regarding to performers. Songwriters get copyrights and get paid, but the one performing had no protection. You get lump sums of money, but then they own you. They own your identity. They own the masters. And they keep releasing them, keep getting paid for them and the ownership, but you don't.
Wow, how long can
it now?
Yeah. Well, how long can they hold your masters? How many
Whatever
years?
You don't get them back. But I think there are laws now so that at a certain point they automatically belong to you. You've got to go and get them. People. It's another way of stealing. If you don't get the proper legal help and go back and make it official, you kind of like you leave the back door open so they can keep stealing from you.
Wow. And this is why you said earlier, it's very independent now. You can do your own music. You can go on and copyright your own stuff. You don't need to go through these labels anymore. That's the beauty of music today.
And that's the importance and the power.
That's right. Now, Making No Filter, the music you made and the album Imagine, was it through a label or did you do this independently?
It's not either or. It is both. It's independently, but it's on George Pettis' label. Terry Hunter's label. It's on their label. My album Imagine is on my daughter's label called Gallery. So everybody has a label, but they have their own label now.
That's right. It's theirs. It's their own.
Their own stuff.
That's right.
My daughter owns me now.
Oh wow. Okay. But
I give myself to her.
Yeah. You gave her rights.
You're free. You have rights now, and you can do what you want to do. And that's essentially because they threw us away.
Yeah.
So now I'm free.
Well, I know how busy you are. Like, what is a day like with Miss Melba Moore? Like, how did you structure your day?
First, I have a series of prayers that I have from the television, because you have a lot of Christian TV networks. They're kind of like my your guides,
Yeah. Your little journal. You got
like TD Jakes, like Joyce Meyer. I'm Catholic, so we have a service, so I can follow the mass. If I can't go to church, I can take communion every day.
Okay.
So that's how I start my life, and I put them all on tape. I'm on my phone, because when I tour, I don't want to be without my practice, for that to be my veil to cover me, because I want that to be who I am, not who you see.
That's right.
Because hopefully my songs will be so big, you only see that.
Yeah, and it will be. It will be. Do you also, how do you prepare yourself before a show? Do you pray a lot too before you go on that stage?
Oh, well, always, yeah. But the main thing, I pray all day, every day. So that's going to be there in case I don't know what kind of situation I'm going to be in, that I'll have that kind of separateness and solitude to do that. Yeah. But what I always make sure I insist on is that everybody, they have to provide a space. I don't know what kind of space it's going to be that I might be in.
Yeah.
They have to provide a space for me where I have privacy, and everybody has to get away from me so I can think about my show and look in the mirror. Do I look like? You can't talk to me before much. I'll do anything you want to after the show.
After the show, then
that's the only thing I really demand.
Yeah, just after the show, you'll be available. Not right now.
To everybody, and I don't exclude anyone as long as it's done in an orderly way. But it has to be after the show.
2 more questions left, and then we're going to depart from this wonderful interview. You have had a truly remarkable career, spanning Broadway, R&B, and other genres. What are some of your most memorable career highlights that you can think of?
Well, definitely the Tony Award.
Tony Award. Wow.
because it's so monumental in changing your life. From the day after I got the Tony Award, and I was, all over the media, then I was invited to do everybody's TV special, like B. Arthur, like Flip Wilson, like
That's
Ed
right.
Sullivan. I can't name them all, but I became a television. So I even had I would say Clifton Davis and I had our own TV special. I would get on Carol Burnett's show. I look at those clips now; they're so funny. But I was invited into television.
That's right. That's right.
And so it was absolutely monumental, and it still has an extreme effect. It was one of the reasons why later on, when I met my husband, that I encouraged him to go back and see if he could get Phil Rose to put Pearlie, the musical, on tape. So anybody can go see it now. And that was like in 1970. And we didn't do it, I think, until like 1980. So when we did the video version, we didn't have Cleavon Little. We had Robert Guillaume to the male lead. And we had Sherman Hemsley, whom everybody knows now. But the point is, it's there for everybody to archive and witness now.
That's right.
If I put that on tape now, I could tell you about it, but you couldn't experience it.
You have to see it.
As a matter of fact, the young lady who did Pearlie, Victorious, Cara, I can't remember her last name. Do you know her last name?
Cara, I don't know Cara.
You have to get her last name. She's important. I think she's getting ready to get another Tony, so you better find out who she is.
Oh, wow.
She showed me the tape. She showed me the tape of her watching me do the role of Ludibelle. That she studied her rendition of Ludibelle that got her the Tony Award.
Wow.
So for us to do these things, we can still experience being the shoulders that someone today is standing on. That's monumental too.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You're absolutely right. And just what advice do you have for aspiring artists who are hoping to build a successful and enduring career? Just going through everything, the music career, the Broadway. What message will you have for them, or hope will you have?
Well, first of all, I'll let you know it's there for everybody now, because we have shows like American Idol and The Mask, and where they not only encourage and give a platform for new artists.
That's right. That's right.
But they train you and they give you experiences. But if you don't have access to that, or even if you do, keep your mind open. Make sure you try to get your education.
That's right.
Make God first. Try to figure out how to do that. If your parents and your family are teaching you that, stay with that. If they're not, go find God somewhere, because He's everywhere. Make it first. And He made you what you are. He wants you to be better than you have any idea that you want to be. So go find Him first.
That's right. Amen. That's right. Viewers, we have Miss Melba Moore. Don't forget, she will be performing at 54 Below in New York City on July 9th and 10th with One Woman Show, Melba Moore, the Broadway with Love. I want to thank you so much for coming on to A Vision.
Thank you. Did I let you get a word in edgewise?
Yes, you did. We had a great time. Yes, you did. You wanted me to know from the beginning what you were looking for and how do you want this interview to go. And it went exactly like how you wanted it to go. Now,
thank you so much.